When my mother got pregnant, it was 1930s. It wasn't a very good time. So she actually wanted to abort me. So at that time, the way to abort was to drink a lot of alcohol and then go in a hot bath and then jump up and down. And she did all that. But I didn't come down. You either masturbate or prostitute. Masturbate is when you think you're a great artist and nobody really appreciates what you're doing. The other one will do anything to please. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do what people wanted me to do. I mean, you know, that's why I do this weird stuff. But I'm not also in the meantime fantasizing I'm a great artist. No, because I'm saying, no, I'm a businessman, you know. I had a friend in my class, and one day we just coming out of school together, there was this apartment building and a window, you know, like first floor window. And he said, you see there? He says, that's where I'm going. There's an artist there, and he gives art classes, and we do painting. And so I said, can I come with you? And I did very well, copying pictures, you know, one after the other, until this one person that close to the family, he came one day and told my mother that there's a very good artist who really teaches fine art, and maybe we should take me to this other teacher. And my mother said, fine, you know, it doesn't matter which teacher, you know, but this teacher happens to be in Cairo. So I went with him and to this teacher, and he said, he looked at the work, all this copy, and he said, I want you to forget all that you've done before. We're going to start from the beginning, and never promise me you will never copy anything. He said, from now on, you're going to do whatever you see. And then you do your composition, you do your color, you do the line, and I'll teach you and I'll help you. And that's where I really got into the right track. So my first exhibition was really very successful. I did it at the end of 1949. I'm 16 years old or something, but most of the work was while I was 13, 14 that it was being shown. And it was not only, it made headlines because it was a kid who had done this, but it sold out. And even my mother was impressed because, you know, I said, here, the money, you know, there's from the show. I was quite young. This is 1952. I left and went to Chicago, to there. But this is 1951, while I'm still in Egypt. But I was very influenced by buildings, and later on, even the abstract design, you can see the geometrical structural thing. The 2 years that I was there in Chicago, I did my major work there. I thought the minute I go to Chicago, and I had taken a lot of my work with me, and I thought that the minute I show my work, just like in Egypt, they would say, wow, you know, and, you know, like they're waiting for me. And I showed my work at school, and of course the school is used to seeing talent. And they said, oh yeah, it's very good work. But then I went to galleries with it, and I showed them, nobody was interested. And I suddenly realized, hey, you can't sell art. People are not interested. And then I said, so what are you going to do? You know? I was looking at the social issues of, now here is people with unemployed, and it's West West Madison Avenue was well known for where they hang up, well, they call it bums, but they're not bums. They were people with unemployed, and they were drinking and just hanging around in this West Madison Avenue in Chicago. I did this almost the same time as that. Now this shows Egyptian women with babies. And again, it's a social issue of mothers with their babies. And what happens with these mothers and infants when their parents or their father is unemployed? This is the street kids. It could be anywhere. It could be Brazil, it could be anywhere. Kids in the street, without parents, without anyone that cares for them, and just what they do. Not that I can do anything about it, but that this is there, and that it's a human tragedy. I'm always, I suppose you can say, I'm seeing the tragic side of human beings. I'm not trying to paint, pretty pictures, flowers, and so forth, but the tragedy of life. So this is the sad part. Parents who can't look after the kids because the father is employed, the children in the streets, mothers with babies they want to feed, sick or whatever. So, but remember, I was a young person. I'm only 19, 20, and I'm an idealist. And I'm looking the injustice of society. Things change. You say, do you still think that way? I would say, not as much as I used to. I don't, I have to be frank. So when I went back to Egypt, for a while, I thought I'm going to do an art gallery. So I had this big place, a lot of paintings, a lot of art stuff. And then in the meantime, I had some design furniture so that people sit and tables and stuff in the gallery. And the guy who did the furniture, he had done my own furniture for the house. So he comes to the art gallery after 2 months and 3 months, and he says, well, how are you doing with the art gallery? I said, I'm doing very bad. And then I said, by the way, people are asking about the furniture if they're for sale. He said, why don't you sell it? I said, this is not a furniture store, this is our art gallery. I didn't put the furniture to sell the furniture. He said, well, you're not selling the art, you might just as well sell the furniture. I said, well, if I sell the furniture, where are the people are going to sell? He said, I'll do more furniture. And I swear to God, that's how it all started. It was called Ego Art Gallery, and yet it became later on a furniture store. Everybody needs a home. Everybody needs furniture, everybody needs lighting, everybody needs whatever before that are essential for a home. But art, forget it. They don't need it. The man, Don Adams, said that I don't have any job for you in Vancouver. You have to go to Victoria. And he picked me up from Vancouver and brought me to Victoria. And he said, in 2 days, you take over. I took this business. And so I was starting to do a business of interior decoration and modern furniture. And when I came to Victoria, I thought, this is just a small little town. There was a number of artists. So I got introduced, and matter of fact, we had some art shows in the shop. So no, it was okay. As far as the art, that was okay, but nobody was making a living out of art. I don't envy anybody who has, an expensive car or an expensive home or expensive clothing. I'm not. I feel much more compassionate towards somebody who is poor and having difficulty than somebody who is showing off with all this money stuff, jewelry and so forth. This doesn't impress me. Like people say, why did you start doing Dead Bird? And I said, I was driving one day, and as I was driving, I saw this black thing sort of fluttering, it just fall right in front of the car. And I knew there was no houses, there wasn't somebody threw something. So I stopped the car, and I go back, and I see this dead crow. This is dead birds, driftwood and bones of the dead birds. The nude figure. It's an ear fish. It could be anything. It could be the inside of a body. Dead birds. Very dead birds. I mean, this is skeleton of a dead bird almost. The geometrical designs, abstract and geometrical trees and animal form. The bird and the branch. Here's the dead birds. Here's a bird and here's a rat. Actually, it's a dead rat. Here's dead birds. Here's a bird in flight. No, this is not a dead bird. This is a flying bird. There's a skull behind. The yellow is a skull. Which is, you remember, I mean, if you die, that's all there are going to be, the bones. This is a totally abstract design, but you can say it's almost like a wing of a bird. Here, the bird and the rat. At one time, I was very much influenced by the two opposite. This is two birds, as you see, dead birds. But you know, with the black part and the white part. The shapes and the forms, the lines. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, there was dead rats behind these branches. I dare to go into certain things that a lot of people would not want to see. There's a lot of things that we covered up and hide it. And here's dead birds lying. I always thought that I carried two sort of opposition at the same time. Because when you're a businessman, you're not an artist. And if you're an artist, you can't be a businessman. And yet, I consider myself, I have both. And it's contradictory. You can't be both because they oppose each other. You know, I have contradictory ideas that oppose each other, and yet I feel comfortable in this thing. You know, people say, well, you must be Armenian or Egyptian. And I say, no, I'm not neither Armenian or Egyptian. All my education was in English, you know. And I studied in English in Egypt. I studied in the US in English. I came to Canada in English. So what are you telling me? I'm an Armenian. I go to Armenia and they say, you're not an Armenian. You go to Egypt, I told you I'm not Egyptian. So, you know, people, oh, but you must be. "1989, I get a call. They say, come over, the place is burning. So I go and see this major fire. It wasn't just a little fire, it was major. So I said, this is the end. This is the end of my whole business, my whole thing. So I didn't know what I was going to do. So until I decided we rebuild, but I don't go into it, I retire and then have the building as a source of income. But it's there. It's there. The loss is there. I mean, I wasn't happy that the place burned down. There's two things that I think all artists have and should have, otherwise you don't hear it. One is sensitivity, and the other is imagining. Imagining how it should be, or the truth also. You want the truth. You want to imagine how we can get to that. And to be sensitive, to be very sensitive, like a child almost, you know, to see things, to hear things, and be sensitive to it, not blind ourselves. And a lot of times to question. That's very, very important, to question what they're telling you, because there's a lot of time they're brainwashing you. When the Armenian genocide was recognized by the British BC government, so they had a thing, and then I came out to speak. They asked me to speak, and I told the story, which is true. I went to Armenia once, and there was this monument that was made for the genocide. And as I went into this monument, and I was inside, suddenly I had this weird experience. I was almost like a vivid dream, but I wasn't sleeping, but it was like real. And I could see what was happening all around me, people being killed. And I was right in the middle, witnessing. So it shows how imagination can play tricks. So it came to real life once I was there in that place. And I started crying loud, and my wife thought I had gone crazy. I mean, I was crying with the loudest. And he said, "Why are you crying?" I said, "I'm there, I'm witnessing." It wasn't just imagination. I was actually had this vision. It was real. And I said that, right, and to the parliament, and people came and shook my hand, and they had tears in their eyes, because it's true. It's a true experience. And so you see, so this imagining people's suffering, you have to realize, if you are really compassionate human being, this is the most important part, that you don't do this to other human beings. And this is why I hate what America is doing to Iraq. It's nothing to do, it's how compassionate, America is supposed to be a compassionate person. How can they go and do that? I mean, they're doing the same thing that the Turks did to the Armenians. People getting killed, I don't know, thousands, people getting killed, destroyed, and so forth. For what? I mean, these people are innocent. They don't even know why they're being killed. This is where my true philosophy, or my how I see, because from my parents, I suppose, knowing, not that they discussed, neither my father nor my mother, but I knew what they had gone through. And that is the thing that is always within me, that I believe in human compassion, that we have to be compassionate to each other rather than aggressive and attack, like this bird attacking, this other little bird. To me, that's very violent. This is, injustice. And that's basically what it's all about, if you want to know what it's all about.